Good evening, darlings. So I need a little more wine, and you might want some too, because tonight we're dealing with some questions that are more scientific, perhaps, than normally we cover here on this program. So I was given an anonymous question about my hair color not matching my eyebrows, and just sort of asking if it was related to that ink bottle story that I told you. In case you missed that, I did have an incident where my hair was dyed black with some ink. So no, darling, I'm afraid that's not why, although that would be absolutely hilarious, I'm sure. But no, actually it's not. So we're going to talk a little about Elven Genetics, specifically with Sindarin elves. Different elves have slightly different genetics, so it's kind of difficult to talk about particularly people with mixed heritage. But we're going to just talk, for instance, about me, because of course I'm entirely Sindarin, my darlings, just entirely. There's nothing else in me whatsoever. Anyhow, so getting back to the point, so of course you know perhaps that with most mortals, the dominant trait for hair color is dark, and the recessive is of course blonde. For Cinderins, it's the opposite. So most of us, of course, are blonde because that's the dominant trait. So with rare exception of genetic mutations, as long as one of your parents is blonde, you will, of course, also be blonde. Now, there are sort of mixed pedigree issues, of course. It's not strictly just one gene that's responsible, it's sort of a mix of them. So, for instance, my son, because his mother was Sylvan and she had, of course, darker hair, um, he sort of has a much different hair color than me, which is a whole other issue that we won't even discuss right now. Um, so, that's why, of course, my hair is blonde, because both my parents, of course, were blonde. As far as my eyebrows, let's sort of talk about some parallels with perhaps human genetics, which I admit I don't have a vast knowledge of, but I do know a little bit. So let's talk about eye color, because I think this is probably the closest we can sort of get as far as similarities. So with eye color, in case you don't know about this, the dominant trait, of course, like with hair, is dark, but the recessive trait is works a little bit differently for eyes. So the base eye color actually for all humans is blue, and so that's why with heterochromia, that's a genetic condition whereby one of the eyes actually is missing the alleles, even though the other one has the alleles for either brown or green or some mix thereof. Eye color is made up usually of different shades of golds and greens, not actually pure brown or green or blue. So if you're missing the alleles, of course, for greens and browns in varying degrees, then you are left with blue eyes. So similarly with my eyebrows, of course, although blonde is the dominant trait there, I had a genetic mutation whereby, like with heterochromia, except in both of my eyebrows, I was left without the alleles for blonde, which left me with the baseline, which of course is dark. So I have, of course, as a result, dark eyebrows and light hair, which is quite unique. It happens incredibly rarely, but it is something my son sort of inherited from me, which, you know, I've heard that it's quite a striking sort of look. So you know, I'm quite happy with it, and I think it gives me sort of a unique look, and I appreciate that, and I'm completely happy with that, and clearly, it was just how it was meant to be. So I hope that answers your question. If you have any other questions about Elven genetics, of course, I can try my best to answer them. So by all means, darling, send me some more questions. Ta-ta.